So I wake up on a Friday morning and I go to the breakfast table and I'm having breakfast with my older brother Lewis. And he asked me, hey, what are your plans today since you don't have work? So I tell him, oh, well, I'm just going to go out with a bunch of friends. We're going to have dinner later on today. And then afterwards, we're most likely going to go see a movie. So I asked him what his plans were, and he said, oh, well, my best friend Leonard is proposing to his girlfriend tonight, so we're going to go out for dinner as well. So the night rolls around, I'm with my friends, we have dinner, and we're trying to decide on a movie to watch. And what happens is we can't decide on the movie we're supposed to watch, so we're like, why don't we go do something else? And someone brings up the idea to go to a hookah bar. So we're like, okay, that sounds chill enough, we can go ahead and go do that. So we go over to one in Fullerton and we're chilling maybe for about 20, 30 minutes. We had just gotten there. And we see kind of like a fight breaking out. And what happens is we see these 4 guys run in with this girl and they're holding the door closed. And there's these like 5 guys and a girl trying to get inside from the outside of the building. And this girl's just yelling outside and then she takes off her heel and she breaks the window like of the door. She like slams her heel into it and breaks it. And the owner gets really mad and he's like, if you don't leave, I'm calling the police. So what happens is these people that were outside the building leave, and then he asks the people that were inside to leave as well. And what these guys do is instead of just leaving, they walk over and there's a pool table inside this hookah bar, and they start grabbing pool cues. And there's 4 of them, and they each grab a pool cue, and then they run outside. And I'm sitting there with my friends, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? These guys are grabbing pool cues, and they're heading back outside. So they walk back outside, and maybe like 2 minutes later, these guys are all running back inside the hookah bar. None of them are holding pool cues except for one guy is holding one that's half broken. And then one of them yells out, he says he's getting his gun. And everybody just freaks out. This is a Friday night, so the whole place is just packed. Everybody starts freaking out. They're knocking over tables. Everybody's running. People are slipping, falling all over the ground. And everybody starts running towards the back of the place, which was probably the worst place to run because the emergency exit was actually on the side of the building. So everybody's running in the wrong direction. Everybody's back there, and the owner said he had already called the police, and the police were on their way. So we hear all these squad cars coming up, and there's maybe 3 squad cars that pull up, and they asked us to evacuate the building. And they were able to detain 5 of the people from the outside, and they asked to detain the people who were inside as well, and they asked to detain the owner. And they told the rest of us to go home. So I got driven home. You know, understandably, a lot of people were freaked out, and as I'm getting home, I get a call from my brother, and I didn't pick it up in the car. So when I get home, he calls again, and I pick up the phone. I'm like, hey, what's up? And he's like, dude, you never believe what just happened. And at this moment, I'm like, okay. And he's all like, I was at the restaurant, and then we went to go get drinks at the bar, and some girl threw a drink in Leonard's fiance's face. So we took it outside into the parking lot, and then we got in a fight. And I'm like, oh my God, where was this? And he's like, oh, we were at this bar, there's a hookah place across the street, and these guys ran into a hookah bar, and they come out with pool cues at us. And at this point, I'm like, oh my God, and he's like, this, I'm thinking like, this is crazy, and he's like, he just starts explaining some of the details, he doesn't really go into detail, and like, after a while, I just interrupt him, and I'm like, dude, I was at the hookah bar, and he's all like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I was there, I saw the whole thing, I saw these guys running in, I saw them grab pool cues, and I saw them run back out there. And I'm like, has anyone been detained? And he's like, no, no one really had a gun. And I told him, like, did somebody have a gun? And he's like, nobody had a gun, someone just shouted that out to scare everyone. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, this was like the craziest thing that's going on. I'm inside on the other side of this fight, and he's outside fighting these guys. And he's all like, I'll explain the rest of the details when I get home. So as I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, this is just crazy. And I was waiting for him to get home, and like the first thing that came to my mind was like, my friends are never going to believe this when I tell them tomorrow. That's it.